just after 7. I have my food bag down. Getting ready to have some coffee to welcome the sunrise. I look a mess, but it's day 4 of a trip. That makes sense. The birds are out this morning. I haven't had much bird life in camp, but I'm near a creek today. I have a new species, the Louisiana water thrush, pine warblers as well. All sorts of things. So let me get my coffee on. The glow in the sky is rapidly warming. I notice that it is red. The red skies in the warning. Sailors take warning. There is rain predicted for this afternoon, so maybe that's what that is. Could also be some of the particulate from the forest fires south of me. They have a way of making sunrises and sunsets pretty spectacular. But I am just doing morning chores, such as filtering water for breakfast. So I often think about why I love backpacking so much. And I think part of it is yesterday I picked up everything that I brought with me and I put it on my back and I took off and I went on this amazing journey through all these different terrains and up and down, different hilltops and creek valleys and all of these kinds of things. And yet ultimately, when I got to camp last night, I created this home, right? This little home in the middle of the wilderness for myself. And nestled under my light, right here, on the ground. Let me flip it around. This is what that light illuminated. It's just my little gear explosion. Most of this from this morning as I've been sorting my gear, ready to pack it up, getting my food out and all of that. But this is it, my shelter, my food, and nature, and it's all here to enjoy. And no matter where I go, I can always find a place to set up a home like this. Here's a shift in the weather today. We've had peerless, sunny skies. There's still some blue back over there, but it's cooler this morning, much longer than it has been. Previously, by 9:30 or something like that, it has been toasty. Now, admittedly, it's only 8:27. I've only been up an hour and a half, but it's much cooler today than it was yesterday. Rain is moving in, expected at 2 o'clock this afternoon, so I definitely want to be back to my car before then, keep everything dry. The ciabatta is breakfast scramble sandwich with cheese and Tabasco and coffee. Well, it's taken all morning up until now for the sun really to break out. It's 10 o'clock. It is warming up finally a little bit. There's still a cool breeze. It feels great. As you can see, camp is getting packed up. My tent is gone. So basically I'm down to the last couple of items and I'm gonna sit and have a cup of coffee by the creek. I never tire of the simple pleasures of a creek. Hey, it's 12:14. Just came up the hill from the creek camp, getting back on trail. Storms are supposed to move in at 2. It looks windy and cloudy. Might take me all in that time I have until 2 to make it back to my car. So hopefully I don't have to break out the rain jacket. Guess we'll see. Well, I've come to the junction of 2 trails to make my planned loop a reality. I'm going to be taking Robbins Branch Trail to the Thornburg Trail intersection and then continuing to the Burkhead Mountain Trail. So I'm about to knock off another 2.7 miles back to the Burkhead Mountain Trail before I can get home on the Burkhead Mountain Trail. Not home, but back to the car. The wind is picking up. Robbins Branch Trail is currently running the long base of a saddle or a flat southern slope through this marvelous pine forest. Absolutely love it. I'm nearing the summit of this long climb, and I wanted to show you this white stone. It's quartz, a unique feature of these mountains. And because gold often can appear in quartz strains, it's also one of the reasons that the Uwharries were America's first gold rush area. All right, we are at the intersection of the Burkhead Mountain Trail and the Thornburg Trailhead. This Thornburg Trail here. Robbins Branch goes down the hill. That's the way I'm going to continue. 1.5 miles to the Burkhead Mountain Trail, and then I'm heading north on that. You can see what the vintage signage look like. Which signs do you like better? All right, we have descended into the Robbins Branch Creek Valley on the Robbins Branch Creek Trail. And what we're going to do now is wind our way back and forth across the creek through a bunch of campsites. And the first one's coming up after a creek crossing. Well, that's actually not on the trail. This is the trail. We are going further up Robbins Branch Valley, and it has these beautiful little cascading water features in this sort of mossy, rock-choked part of the stream. But we are going up. At some point I will rise above, because that ridge over to the right is where I need to eventually get. And so it begins. A light rain is falling. I've almost made it to the Burkhead Trail on the ridge up here. And then it's pretty much a straight shot north, some miles. We'll find out at the signpost up here. But that'll be the last leg of this trip. All right. As predicted, it levels out. The Burkhead Trail, Burkhead Mountain goes this way. Hannah's Creek, 2.1 miles. Todd Hill, 2.6. Let's do it. We'll take a moment to point something out. This is a lightning detector, and I turned it on when the storms started approaching, because I don't know what kind of forecast there is, if there are lightning storms or not. I'm on the highest ridge locally and will be for 2.6 miles until I get back to my car for the most part. So I have to be mindful of lightning. Well, the rain is picking up. You may notice something different about my attire. The rain has picked up. Pardon my jerky movements here. All right. We're coming to a trail intersection. And I have really good feelings about this, as I think it's the Camp 3 trail intersection. It is indeed. So 2 nights ago and the night before that, I was at Camp 3 down on the bottom. 1.8 miles to go. Well, this is the summit of Cooler's Knob. Somewhere over there is Cedar Rock Mountain, where we were several days ago. Windstorms have not been kind here, but ironically, I created a new fireplace, a new fire pit. I don't believe this one used to be here. Well, no, I think it used to be here. I think this area just, yeah, I know it used to be here. There's another one down the mountain that way. Just look at how these are all sheared off though. Wow, it must have been like a straight line wind gust or something. A wind shear is what I'm trying to get out. Not a great fire ring, but things have been left in decent shape by whoever last used it. All right, onward. Well, we're on a historic Uwharries trail route, apparently. The Old Forester Road, protected by the Three Rivers Land Trust and the Dassau family of Greensboro, 2019. Unusual you see something like that in a wilderness area, but tastefully done. We are almost to our final descents down to Talbot's Branch Creek bottom and the Tot Hill trailhead. The wind really picked up, and the wind came from a different direction. So it's blowing in on me and getting me wet now instead of from behind me. So I'm actually behind a tree, using a tree to block the wind somewhat. This is one of the last reminders of human remains we'll see on this end of the trail. We haven't really far to go at all before we are back to the trailhead. There must be a campsite up there. Look at the red buds contrasting with the dead beech leaves and the pale yellow tan. All right, we are back. Almost to the trailhead. This is looking down the very serene Talbot's Branch. So make sure it's not slippery. When you travel, you learn to adapt. Last Monday at noon, I set off on my trip. This loop, I had conceived of it as a completely off-trail loop in the pathless woods. And yet I completed my loop this last day using paths that I had previously eschewed. And the reason for that is very simple. These are among the oldest mountains in the world, and they have been walked with many paths filling them for many, many centuries. And the more I read the landscape and decided, well, that would be the best way to go, the more I would find myself coming across old forest roads or other paths, logically picking the most sensible course through the landscape and letting you know that somebody who knew something about backcountry navigation had a part in their creation. I also discovered that those pathless woods are filled with lots of roads that speak to the past, that speak to the gold mining era, or that speak to the forestry era when these woods gave up their trees, or perhaps the farm era when the treeless mountains were planted with seed. Now it's returning to forest. 100 years from now, these woods will be fabulous. And there's the sign where it all started. It's now Thursday, about 3:40 p.m. I'm seeing the first signs of modern civilization again. The golf course fence, the car, some quaint reminders of spring, the red buds on the edge of the field. And there's my car up on the hill waiting for me. These beauties that grow around the trailhead. And one last creek crossing. The same spot where I crossed my first creek this trip. Also, obviously, Talbot's Branch. Friends, here's where I'm going to leave you. Thank you for coming along. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. This was a pretty epic quest. Thanks for watching. Bentbrook out.